Hello students, welcome to the English class. Today in this video we are going to discuss the topic adverb. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand the definition of an adverb and tell which part of speech it modifies. To recognize adverbs and distinguish them from the other parts of speech, so open your grammar magic book, chapter adverb. Let's start. So, what is an adverb? An adverb is the word that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. It often answers the questions of how, when, and where the action has been done. So, what is adverb? An adverb is the word that describes a verb, adjective, or another adverb. Let's understand it with some examples. In this first is the girl runs quickly. In the first sentence, we see an example of an adverb that describes verb. Here, runs is an action word. How does the girl run? Quickly. Quickly describes runs and therefore quickly is an adverb. Next is the bird is very small. This sentence has an example of an adverb that describes an adjective. Do you see an adjective in this sentence? Small. Small is an adjective here which describes the noun bird, but there is an adverb which describes small. It tells how small. Do you see that word? Very. It is an adverb because it describes the adjective small. Next is the students always study so quietly. In this sentence, we have an example of an adverb that describes another adverb, quietly. Quietly is an adverb which describes how the students study, but there is also an adverb that tells us how quietly they study. Do you see that word? So. So is an adverb because it describes another adverb quietly by telling how quietly. Students, now we'll discuss some more examples of details that adverbs tell us about verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. And with the first is where. Adverbs which tells where the action has been done includes here, there, everywhere, and outside. Next is when. The adverbs today, yesterday, Friday, early, and now all tell us when something happened. Next is how. The adverbs quietly, happily, loudly, and gently are all examples of adverbs that tell how something was done. Next is how much. The adverbs so, to, very, almost, and enough are all examples of adverbs that tell how much or how the action has been done. Next is how often. Usually, always, sometimes, and never are all adverbs that tell us that how often something occurs. Students, now let's discuss some sentences in which we'll recognize or identify the adverbs. Our first sentence is Sam sees many puppies outside. So, where does Sam see many puppies? Outside. Here, the word outside tells us where the action has taken place, so it's an adverb. Next is my father came home early. So, when did my father come home? Early. Here, the word early is describing at what time the action took place, so it's an adverb. Next is I ate my dinner quickly. So, how did I eat my dinner? Quickly. Here, the word quickly is describing how did the action take place. So, it's an adverb. Next is she dresses elegantly. So, how does she dress? Elegantly. Here, the word elegantly is describing how did the action take place. So, it's an adverb. Students, sometimes adverbs and adjectives are confusing because they both describe other word in a sentence. So now I'll tell you the difference between adjectives and adverbs. The difference is adverbs describe verbs, adjectives and adverbs, and adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. Let's look at the examples. First is the excellent students quietly read. In this sentence, read is an action word or verb. Do you see the adverb that describes the verb? Quietly. Quietly is an adverb because it describes a verb. Now, look at the same sentence but an adjective in the sentence. The excellent students quietly read. Students, remember, adjective describes noun or pronoun. Students is a noun in this sentence and excellent describes students. Therefore, excellent is an adjective because adjectives describe nouns. Now I want to tell you one point which you should remember. That is, most of the adverbs are formed by adding ly to the adjectives. For example, careful, carefully, happy, happily, cheerful, cheerfully. Here, careful, happy, and cheerful are adjectives, and by adding ly to them, they became adverbs. Now, look at this sentence. Anu is a beautiful singer. She sings beautifully. Here, singer is a noun, and the word beautiful is describing the noun, so it's an adjective. And in the other part, sings is an action word, and the word beautifully is describing the action word sings, so it is an adverb. Here we have formed adverb beautifully by adding ly to the adjective beautiful. So students, I hope you understood what is an adverb and what is the difference between an adverb or an adjective. Now we will discuss an exercise. So let's start. Read the following sentences and identify the underlined words as an adjective or an adverb. In this, the first one is she's a quick runner. She can run very quickly. So, what kind of runner is she? Quick. Here, quick is describing the noun runner. So, it's an adjective here. And in the next part, she can run very quickly. Here, how can she run? Quickly. Here, quickly is describing the action word run. So, it's an adverb here. Next is, he's a careless writer. He writes carelessly. So, what kind of writer is he? Careless. Here, careless is describing the noun writer. So, it's an adjective here. And in the next part, he writes carelessly. How does he write? Carelessly. Here, carelessly is describing the action word writes. So, it's an adverb here. Next is, she is a careful girl. She works carefully. So, what kind of girl is she? Careful. Here, careful is describing the noun girl. So, it's an adjective here. And in the next part, she works carefully. How does she work? Carefully. Here, carefully is describing the verb works, so it's an adverb here. Next sentence is Sia is angry. She moves out of the room angrily. So, how is Sia? She is angry. Here, angry is describing the noun Sia, so it's an adjective here. And in the next part, she moves out of the room angrily. How does she move out of the room? Angrily. Here, angrily is describing the verb moves, so it's an adverb here. Next is Arun is happy. He is playing happily. How is Arun? Arun is happy. Here, happy is describing the noun Arun, so it's an adjective here. And in the next part, he is playing happily. How is he playing? Happily. Here, happily is describing the verb playing, so it's an adverb here. So, students, today we have discussed what is an adverb, and we have also discussed how to recognize adverbs and distinguish them from the other parts of speech. I hope you understood the today's topic properly. Now, follow the SNAP homework schedule and do the related exercises. Thank you. Have a nice day.